So, if you don't mind, if you could introduce yourself and give your backstory for our listeners.
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a motherhood coach. But before I became that, let's rewind the story a little bit because I had been running a private practice in coaching and counseling for a couple of years. And then my husband and I got married. We were very happy, very cliche, but great. And when we actually got married, we decided, oh, there's just so much love inside this little family of ours that we really wanted to have more of that going on, I think. So we decided, okay, let's try for a little baby. And that was such a warm, fuzzy feeling inside of both of us. And I did all the things. I took my prenatals, my folic acid. I tweaked my diet a little bit. I was prepared and I was research on how to get pregnant. And so I did that apparently quite well because on my second, on our second month, we got pregnant. That unfortunately ended in a very early miscarriage, which was something I was quite, I don't know, sober about because I knew that could happen. But then by the third try, the third month, I was pregnant and we were like through the roof. Like the line was so clear. I was like, yes, this is going to be it. So all very happy. And we had like a plan for afterward. Toward the end of the birth, I was going to take it a bit easy. And then my maternity leave and I was like gonna be at home for about a year with our kiddo. But then week 5 of my pregnancy hits. And for those who are already moms know that week 5 is very early. And I got diagnosed with HG, which is hyperemesis gravidarum. I'm probably butchering the name. But it basically means that it's a pregnancy disease, a morning sickness. We all know the term morning sickness, right? But basically, I was extremely nauseous for 9 whole months, which ended up being like the worst time of my life because I was just stuck to the bed and literally could not get up. I lost 20 pounds in the first trimester. It was rough. Even water would make me nauseous. It was horrible. And yeah, I can see her expression. It was not like it was horrible. And it was basically, I'm stuck in the worst hangover of my life for 9 straight months. And I wasn't able to sleep. I wasn't able to do anything, like even watch TV or read a book. And as a mental health specialist, I already knew, okay, this is not going to do wonders for my mental health. So I did already feel myself a bit sliding. I was like, okay, this deadline gets through it. And eventually I was induced at 41 weeks and 5 days because I was like, get the baby out of me. I can't do it anymore. And then I do have to tell you, the birth was by far the easiest part of the whole pregnancy. So I guess that's signaling something. And I was like, oh, yes, I can finally get back to being me. And because I lost my whole identity, right? I was only the sick, pregnant person in bed. And then when my daughter was about 8 weeks old, I was okay. I was newborn, tiredness had been kicking in and all those things. That was not great, but I was doing much, much better than my pregnancy. But then when my daughter was 8 weeks old, my period returned, even though I was exclusively best breastfeeding. So I had not expected it for another couple of months at least. And all the hormones and all the sleep deprivation and everything that what came flushing back with that, a menstrual cycle was just it spiraled me into being okay to completely suicidal in one afternoon. And that was pretty rough, if I may say so myself. I knew what was happening. As a cherry on top of this pregnancy, I got a horrible postpartum depression and a horrible postpartum anxiety, and it felt like the end of the world for me. Yeah, that was my not so fun backstory. But fast forward to now, my daughter's 2.5 years old. I am thriving. I'm doing great. I got a lot of help, a lot of therapy. I had a great support system. And eventually, I actually also went on medication. And all those things combined really helped save me, I would say. But I remember vividly towards a little bit towards the end, I was like, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and I told myself, Elizabeth, not if, when you get through this, you're going to make sure that no other mom ever has to go through what you went through without supports, without help, without acknowledgement, without resources. So that is, I've been talking for way too long, but that's mainly why I'm here. That's why I started Else Corner. I changed my direction of my private practice. And I went full on helping educate pregnant moms who think they might be susceptible to PPD and PPA, to help them prep and put like things in place to make sure that they had fallback systems. I had helped a lot of postpartum moms, mainly who the moms who are Googling in the middle of the night, does it get better? Will I ever sleep again? Why do I feel this way? And then also have quite few moms that I help that have kids with that are pre-K, I think, like still at home, who thought the same as I did, like happy to have a baby. We have so much love in this family. But somewhere along the way they got lost in their motherhood journey and they're not having that much fun again. So I help them reclaim their motherhood journey. And that's what I do. And that's who I am. And that's why I'm here.
I can't imagine in one afternoon suddenly feeling suicidal, especially if that feeling is new or if that level of that feeling is new. Did it feel like an emergency?
It felt just like I just wanted everything to stop. I just wanted to I wanted to catch my breath and get off of this roller coaster of negativity and horribleness that I felt I was on. And I felt that the only way to do that was to die.
In our first episode, I was speaking with Bianca Sprague, and one of the main things she was talking about was how suicide is the leading cause of deaths among new mothers. Yeah. And that if if we but we're s mothers are so afraid to talk about that or to mention that because at least in America, it's such a taboo topic, I think. But that if we're able to speak about it, then it's so much more likely that we can get better.
Yeah, you take the power away a bit, right? I am always incredibly open about who I am and what I went through. And very early when people ask me what I do, I throw that little bomb that I wanted to kill myself, that I just didn't want to live anymore. I usually pretty early on in the conversation just drop that. And my reasoning for that is because if at least already one mom hears that and gets help because I say that, it's worth it. But I do have to say that literally every single person I talk to or I speak to about this, whether they're my age, Gen Zers, or even like boomers, like our parents, they all say either, oh, I've been through that myself, or they've been through that with someone very in their very close circle. It's weirdly that this is this universal thing and no one is talking about it. And there's such a big taboo because, yes, women are afraid and ashamed of it.
And it seems like there are consequences or potential consequences or fear of being seen as a bad mother. I feel like there's such a need to keep up a front.
Yeah. But there's this classical view, right, of the depressed housewife who drowns her baby in the bathtub. But that is just only, obviously, it doesn't go like that, but that's only a very small amount of women who actually experience postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety that actually have those feelings. And it's so much broader. The spectrum is so much bigger. So it's not just that. And often when I hear my clients in my practice, they're like, yeah, I don't really want help, or I didn't really feel like I need help because I'm not as bad as others and I don't have it as bad.
That's interesting. What do you think that's about?
I think that's about women are very powerful. Let me start by saying that, right? I am all the way teen women because we're great. We're also like we're doing all the things, right? But we have to be strong, and also in our we I think over the past few decades we've tried to be very masculine. We've tried to really adopt a very masculine energy. And if you feel comfortable being like that, that is completely fine. But I feel that there should still be a lot of space for one's femininity and the vulnerability that's in there. And if we don't do that, a lot of women think, okay, yes, I'm crying every single night. I'm not getting any sleep, but I have to be strong. And I don't have it as bad as this other woman that I heard about who jumped off a bridge because I'm nowhere like that. I'm much stronger. I have to be strong for my family, for my kids. In believing that way, we perpetuate that feeling that we have to stay strong. And also, you can still admit your vulnerabilities and that you're not doing well while still staying strong.
I feel like what you are saying is the same as the pressure to be like super mom,
Yes.
like perfect mom, like who cook meals for everybody all day long and goes to every school event and has a career also and is never late.
Yeah. And it's also because if you look at today's social media landscape, right? As a mom, as a woman, I think maybe even as a man nowadays, there you're never doing anything right. You're breastfeeding, oh, okay, but you shouldn't hate on the people who bottle feed. You bottle feed your kids. Oh no, you shouldn't do that because breastfeeding is best for your kid. Oh, you're letting your kid play with that toy. Oh no, you should never do that. Oh, you're letting your play. It's like you can never win, and so you have to stay strong and put up this front. And I don't think that's benefiting anyone in the long run. And I always say, it's just such a simple thing, right? But I always say to my clients, and you are the best mom for your kids. There is no one who is a better mom for your kids than you are. And your intuition, your feelings are always going to be the right thing for you and your family. So do what you feel feels right for your family, but don't do it because you feel like you have to, right? And that is such a core thing, but a lot of people seem to be forgetting nowadays. And I just, it's a shame.
Yeah, it's like there's imposter syndrome in being a mother. Yeah, that's like the one place where you shouldn't feel imposter syndrome.
No, no, exactly. I try to make it a point to never judge any mom. Okay, if I see a pregnant woman drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes, then I'm a little bit judgy. But every mom should just be able to do what you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what kind of night she's had. You don't know what kind of day she's had. Like you have no place in judging anybody there. So if the next time you see a mom in the grocery store with her kid and the kid is screaming, crying on the top of her lungs, instead of saying, might never scream that way or making a judgment about that, say, hey, can I help you? Do you need anything? You want me to hold your baby for a little bit? Or what in what way can I support you? Just make the world a little bit of a better place.
So, what was the process? What was the first step that you took?
To getting better, you mean? I remember my husband, he had to go on a business trip and he felt really bad about leaving me with a newborn behind. My parents were very close, still very close with me. And my mom came over basically the whole time to just be with me and the little newborn. And I remember standing over the crib with her and looking at my baby and telling her all these things about what kind of character I thought my kid had, what kind of like temperament, how I wanted her to be taken care of, and how to dress her, how to bathe her, and all those things. And I remember vividly thinking at one point, like realizing almost like a light bulb went on. I was like, in any of these scenarios I'm talking about now to my mom, I'm not there. I do not see myself in this picture. And then I was like, okay, shit, it is really not supposed to feel this way. Get this thing away from you. Acknowledge that you have a problem. And then I looked at my mom crying and I said, it's not supposed to feel this way. This is not good. And she looked at me and she said, no, honey, I don't think so. And then I said, mommy, I think I need help. So there's a 28-year-old woman there taking to her mommy, yeah, mommy, I need help. And that was the first step, acknowledging it out loud and then going to the right places to get that help with the support of my family, my husband. In the beginning, a lot of people told me when I was just reaching out for help, all the healthcare professionals, they were like, oh, you're so brave. I'm so happy that you're so strong. to ask for help. And I was like, I felt so weird and ashamed for that. It felt so uncomfortable. Now, and X amount of years afterwards, I am proud of myself. I am proud that I took that step. And I don't feel awkward or uncomfortable saying it out loud. And that also goes to show that we as women, we can achieve so much and we can recover from so much, right?
That I like that. That's a quotable. That's true. We overcome a lot.
And it's okay. You don't always have to hold your head up proud and smile your way through things. But sometimes I saw this, I think on Pinterest, I saw this like beautiful drawing about a lady like walking up a mountain and then looking backwards and the text that said something like, today take some time to tell your previous you, look at how far we've come. Look at how far we made it. Look at that goal that you set out for us. We're here.
It's easy to take that for granted. Oh, I already accomplished that. It doesn't matter anymore. And that's so doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, in my practice, whenever I'm helping moms, sorry, I'm a bit nasal because I was a bit, I had a bit of a flu going on, but we use a lot of positive psychology, and there are so many methods and ways to really reprogram your brain, right? Because when you have a lot of anxiety or panic, there's a lot of space in your brain taken up by that feeling. But if we sort of bombard the brain with the other type, right? So things like those positive emotions. So you've probably heard about a gratitude journal and affirmation, things like that. They always feel a little bit silly, but they actually are scientifically proven to help. So instead of the space in your brain that goes towards the negativity, the panic, and the anxiety, we just overflood it with other warm, fuzzy feelings. And then at some point, you start to feel it tipping towards being better. And that is a really powerful tool that we can use to help moms. Yeah, obviously anyone. But in my line of work, we use it for moms to make them feel good, like they deserve.
Yes. And possible for anyone. But what's so interesting is that new moms actually, I've just read this book called, I'm gonna butcher this, but I think it's Matrescence.
Matrescence. Oh yeah, that is my sessions that I do with mom. It's like the first thing I teach them. And there's this wonderful TED talk, right? It's about six. I think you should watch it. It's amazing. Matrescence is like this beautiful term that makes every mom feel so validated, right?
It changed everything for me.
Yes, totally.
And I was like, why didn't I know about this? Why isn't this like part of the
School education, right? Because we're taught about puberty, menopause, being the elderly, but matrescence is like not a light bulb, but like the whole room lit up when I first saw that video a couple of years ago.
I have to watch the TED
Yeah.
I haven't.
The reason I always show that to my clients because I've read all the research and I've done my work on it, but I can never explain it as well as the author of that term. She's not really the author of the term, but the author of that TED talk. She explains it in I think 6 or 7 minutes so well. I could not do a better job than that. It is amazing. Lucy Jones is the author of the book, but Dr. Alexandra Sachs. So
Okay, yeah.
if you're
Okay.
hearing this and you're a mom or becoming a mom, watch the TED talk by Alexandra Sachs.
I'm gonna
You're
this gave me so much validation because it talks about how all of the changes that happen scientifically in your brain and in your body when you become a mother and how your brain, like your sense of identity expands to include your child. So it's not just you anymore. You that's why your child is like your guts and your soul because like literally that's what your brain.
and men don't have this, right? Because we carry our children, our DNA are so entangled with them. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I think I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on this, but I think a research recently proved that there was DNA from the kid in the mom's brain like years after birth.
I just find that is so beautiful.
Yeah, and to not get lost in the mundane of it. Yes, you're washing binkies. Yes, you're washing underwear. But at the same time, remember, you carried this baby, you carry this child, and that is such an accomplishment. And that's not
Yes,
to undo the love that foster parents and adoptive parents have of
right.
course, because I also firmly believe that is a very strong connection. But yeah, the research on that I read, it's crazy.
And actually, Don Friedman and some a woman that I interviewed recently, he has an adopted daughter, and we were talking about this. And she was saying, the way I look at it is that her birth mother is her noun mother, and I'm her verb mother. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Like, I mother her. That's something that biological mothers have to do too. The act of mothering.
Almost impossible to put it into words, right? Because there's so many aspects of it. But I think what we're trying to explain and trying to convey, everyone who's going to be listening to this podcast episode will understand what we mean by that.
It's something that's done every day. It's every day. I don't know. I don't know if you ever get to a point where you can coast. I don't know. But
I remember for our interview, because you published my interview, and I remember there was one question in there. You asked, who would you want to meet in the world, right? Who would you want to have dinner with? And I think I wrote down something like, I would like to meet the mom who thinks she really, truly, firmly believes that she has everything under control and a good feeling about it. I don't know if she exists.
yeah, I'd like to meet that mom because it does feel like something that every day I always heard that in marriage or in a relationship that you every day you have to choose your partner and choose really and that way you're never taking them for granted and you're never but that's definitely how I feel with mothering. Every day it's a job, it's a thing. You get up and do it.
And it's okay. Some days are harder than others. Some days are great, and you're like, yes, I rock this day. This was good. And some days are like, oh, this was a rough one. This was. And then they go to sleep, and you look at them in their tiny little beds and their tiny little like relaxed faces when they're asleep, and they just in you hell all day.
Yeah.
Look at them, and they're peaceful, and you just want to cuddle them, and such conflicting feelings. Because during the day, if you're having one of these rough days, you're like, oh, go to sleep. I want to be better. And then when they're asleep, you just want to like crawl in there with them, and they're just so precious with their like soft little skin and stuff. It's a dichotomy. Let's put it at that.
And like you said, you have both feelings at once. Thank you so much. Just thank you for obviously being so honest about your story and your experience and for all of the help that you give to expecting mothers and new mothers.
I love it. I love my job. I love helping moms. And yeah, it feels good to do that. It is nice. And I feel that also I can really understand where moms are coming from when they're struggling.
And you have an instinct and you can recognize something, even if it's like small or like nuanced, you can recognize it and you can know what to do because you've lived it.
But in the end, I do say I am only the guide a little bit, right? These moms who they get better themselves. They do all the work, right? So let's not put too much on me because moms are so strong and they do it every single day.